Hi, come on in if you'd like to have a seat for some symbolic support with the Scrying spirits. I'm going to drop here some sepia ink in lieu of our intention. And just very casually draw it out. If you'd like to close your eyes, take a deep breath, releasing the race and the rush, activating the abstract mind and ancient awareness to perceive and receive symbolic support. And if you're new to me here, know that I utilize the ink to activate that abstract mind and meditative state. I'm going to give it a squinch here because there's some drippy drips. There we go. All right. This is our Inkblot inspiring our session today. If you'd like to take a screenshot so you can scry on your own time and terms for any shapes or symbols that speak. All right. And if you don't mind, I'm going to dig in here and I look forward to seeing what the spirits have to say. There's two handles, like cupboard door handles coming together. Almost as if like a line is drawn in the sand as well. So there might be something coming forward about having not a face off, but like there's an opportunity between the heart and the throat, right in around that area. There's something growing. Oh, there's another conversation over here. A zipper is undoing, starting from the ground up. Might be a relative, somebody you can connect with. My eyes are starting to see this ink transform, so I'm just trying to decide what it is I'm seeing. I'm also seeing like pipe cleaners, like something like actual, just like good old-fashioned pipe cleaners as well. Really tall, I think they're cedar trees, if cedar trees mean anything to anyone. So I feel like somebody in spirit's very pleased with, it's almost like I'm seeing multiple conversations. And one is down off to the side, down here, if you can see those people there. And then there's the other one up here. Sorry, I didn't mean to give you the middle finger. Like this conversation might even be, like when I'm down here, it could be earthly. And then the focus is being on the higher self or in the spirit realm, the actual spirit realm. There might be communication going on. So I don't know if you've been sensing that you're communicating, symbolically speaking, perhaps, or very clearly, whether it's birds or feathers or tarot, whatever the case may be, there's some sort of communication that's being highlighted, and it comes together in the cedars. And it's not so much about the forest per se, but it's almost as if what the cedar symbolically represents perhaps to somebody, and or including myself, as we're empathically exploring. It's almost like I'm seeing the Cheshire Cat down here, smiling. And then also some sort of like Muppet that has a really big headdress on amongst those cedars. I'm going to add on, if you don't mind, some conscious cards, and we'll wander through the subcon, precon, and subconscious and see what's going on, because this does feel as though, like in those two handles coming together, like the cupboard door came through, but it's like, sorry that I keep doing this to you. It's like the veil, if I may, and these two, say yourself and spirit, like can both take a hand on the handle and open the door. Do we have anything? Okay, we have two. See what's going on in the conscious realm that may support. What traits in a friendship relationship are important to you and why? And who brings out the best in you, and how did they achieve this? So this is really making me feel like in that, even the relationship and friendship between the subconscious and conscious to earthly and ethereal, right? Tangible to third eye. There's a communication going on, and I'm almost following the rabbit hole very clearly to say, can you start picking out the traits in how they communicate? Because they are helping each other communicate, right? And the body is the vessel, and your energy and the emotions, like, you know what I'm saying? And the traits of that resonance. And who brings out the best in you, and how do they achieve this? I think by answering the first question, it could be very easily answered. And there's a spirit stepping forward saying, I'm on the other side of the door. So if you've been having that spirit communication with a loved one or someone who's passed on, they were somebody who brought out the best in you. And they were potentially a friend. I don't know why I can't pick up these cards. They were potentially a friend or somebody you had a meaningful relationship with. And they're meeting you at the veil. We're in the pre-conscious realm here. If you can help me out. Have you ever been in a position where you have had to go against your ideals or value? So there might be something in the air right now that could feel conflictual, because it feels like a metamorphosis kind of feel. And with the Cheshire Cat, it's like the Alice in Wonderland has met the Cheshire. It's like everyone's mad here. There could be some sort of fear about deepening the connection with spirit because the landscape is unknown. And you might feel like you're against your nature, even though you intellectually understand and you want the connection. Is there maybe something in the value system or the ideals, the ideas we have about what communicating with spirit looks, sounds, and feels like? Because they're like right there hovering. You both have a hand on the handle. We have 3 cards that came out here. When was the last time you had to psych yourself up to do something, and what was the outcome? And this is in the subconscious realm. So I'm wandering down here. It's like meeting the Cheshire Cat and this curiosity. But does the cat kill the curiosity because it's acting in this weird way? And do you have to psych yourself up to open the door? Oh, sorry if I shook the camera. Open the door. Open the door to spirit. I feel like if somebody is sitting here with me right now, there's somebody right there in spirit with you, right there wanting to communicate more familiar to the human versus in dreams or symbolically speaking. It's almost like you're waiting for that tangibility, right? I don't know how else to express that, but they want to come forward. And there's a little bit of having to, like, you psych yourself up, like walking through a hallway in the dark and you know there's nothing there. You're just going to go from point A to point B intellectually, but your imagination, history, memories, every movie, everything comes up in that hallway, in that liminal space. Does that make sense? And what is reoccurring? What is a reoccurring thought that is always on your mind? That's what that makes me feel like. Is that part of the ideas we have about, or maybe somebody's contending with in what feels like a conflict, but curiosity? Is that a habitual reoccurring thought? When I'm in the dark, when I'm in the unknown, does all this stuff come up to affect it, and it keeps the cupboard door shut? And is your personality similar to the people who raised you? This may be somebody who raised you on the other side of spirit: mother, father, parent, guardian, grandparent, etc. Auntie, uncle, foster parents, anything along that line. And it's almost like, because both of you are, sorry that I keep shaking the camera, both of you are on each side with the handle. It's like you're both ready in different ways. Bravery keeps coming up. Bravery. Thinking about, little Alice in Wonderland. And it's like, how did she conjure up the confidence? 10th house, the world. Because she was willing. See how that almost looks like an eye? And time. Time works differently there. So even though she was having a nap and had this whole experience, really only a nap had passed. Does that make sense? That's how I'm feeling. Like there could be something about that 10 being a cycle of contemplation, and maybe meeting those reoccurring thoughts. And I'm there with you, right? Especially if you're creative in nature, and it's easily conjured, but not, it doesn't have to be. Moon, the soul. This may have to do with night moon versus morning moon. Provoker and mystery. Okay, so somebody from spirit that is stepping forward, or even in this space right now. Okay, so moon being with the number 2, and there's 2 moons to me. I'm not concerned if it is reflective of anyone else. How I feel is that there's night moon and there's morning moon. And for myself, as I'm following this message from spirit to share not only with myself but others that are resonating, like morning moon, it's like you might be able to be in the dark more easily, because the light of day is like right there. It's only maybe an hour away or a few hours away, but it's right there. But night moon, it's say in that same pocket of an hour or a few hours, but then there's still night and there's still darkness. There's more mystery beyond in the night moon versus morning moon. And this is where that whole world about timing of the moon. Do you work in morning moon or do you work in night moon? And if you favor one, do you have to psych yourself up to wander into the other? Because this is all very symbolic of how I'm seeing it, that meeting with the spirit of your loved one, perhaps in the dream state, it's really comfortable, or having a spirit animal step forward, it's very comfortable. But there's more to be had. There's more messages, and it's somewhere in the clairs. And it's like, can you interrupt reoccurring thoughts that might be hindering you from having exactly what you want with this person? Can you, the Grand Cross, can you cultivate, feel protected as you, like a bullseye, sit in the night moon and go, okay, now this is where I would normally step out, but I'm going to be here and I'm going to listen. And even though these reoccurring thoughts may step forward, the relationship, the friendship of the one on the other side, I want to learn the language to have a more clear, connected conversation. Begin learning the language, because they're right there. I'm going to flip this to win it. If this is resonating, thank you so much for joining me. This feels like a very powerful message for anyone looking for a little bit more, or ready to receive a little bit more. But it seems like the wisdom is the work to step forward from both sides. It's not just one-sided. I'm seeing needle nose pliers. Animals has come through. And we did talk about that. So they're already coming through in spirit animal form. Feels very comfortable. Needle nose pliers. And possibly a different kind of tool, but I'm not sure what it is. plants. Like there's symbols already around. Like when I think of my grandfather, roses, that's roses. He tended carefully to the meticulousness of roses. Both my grandmother and grandfather on one side were great gardeners, but he was very specific about his roses and crystals. Even though it's a bathroom, maybe something about water can be helpful in this communication. Maybe water scrying is a way that you want to work with, or holy water is coming through for that grand cross. And it doesn't have to be holy in regards to one religion or another. Whatever your power resides, wherever your placement of power is shared with, and to draw from that collective in those moments and focus on the light. Focus on the light. Also, a sunflower is coming through with the plants and the animals. Like that's what I'm talking about. The symbolic support of the spirit trying to say, I'm right here, and you know this, you can feel them. But I'm seeing up here what looks like, oops, and the ink still, well, that's why I always have dirty hands, where the ink is like, they come together. The elastic bands of the lands, we'll say. Yeah. It's like you can come together. Oh my goodness, my throat almost gave out. Because it almost like when it happens, it might just be a quick like, I see you, or I feel I can hear you. Can you see me? Like it might be really, really quick just to get the first, like learning how to talk again, because you're learning a different language. Similar, but different. Because there's physical effort, mental effort, energetic effort, you know what I mean? All that kind of good stuff. When this connection is made, and it will be built upon, so I'm seeing like strings of sorts. That's awkward when things fall to the ground. One moment. There we go. She feels, she knows. You do know. You do feel this. We've been talking about that, and if there's any sort of validation in this person passed on, they know that you know. They know that you feel. But you're both looking for more to open the cupboard. I'm seeing like the magical wardrobe from Narnia. Narnia just came through. Like who's gonna be curious enough, brave enough to go through the perception of your life. See all those trees? That's what it makes me feel like. And it's a very dimensional feeling. Very dimensional feeling. You can feel their dimensional presence around you, because that's what it is. It's like a dimensional language, and you can feel them, and you know that they're there. And you communicate, and you're looking to just really start learning more how to interact with them, with their sensory spectrum, because they know yours, but they're in a different dimension now, right? When you are there and this connection is had, you will be connected through, so you'll be safe through the silver cord. And there's also a watcher, and it's an animal. So there's also an animal in spirit that watches this connection made. They might be your spirit guide in animal form, so it's not to freak you out. Defend to the end the worthwhile. This is just making me feel that it's worth it. It's worth the energy and effort that you're putting in, or contemplating putting in, because I feel like there still might be a wee bit of a hesitancy, and that's completely compassionately understandable. Needle nose pliers, though, that feels like that whole subconscious or preconscious, reoccurring thoughts. Okay, do we have any closing out messages here from the spirit sitting with us today? Somebody looks over. If somebody has somebody else in spirit that's smaller. They look over and watch. They just look over and watch. They are connected to you, so it feels like a child. It definitely feels like a child. And it's almost like as if they always have, not like a device, but like a string to you. And they always know where you're at. They always know where you're at. The sun. We've had the sunflower come up twice now. Focus on the light. That's the advice when you're in the night moon or morning moon. And depending on which one. And the magician, because this is where your magic lies, is actually being the sun, being your own nightlight, and cultivating like I'm seeing a solar-powered nightlight. A solar-powered nightlight. Maybe having a symbol of a sunflower or a rose or an animal, something like that, a picture of your loved one with you as you're moving through like the Narnia wardrobe and provoking your own psyche to psych yourself up to say, I'm doing this because it's important to me, and I may have fears, but I'm going to take responsibilities and I'm going to protect myself. Maybe you're going to put yourself in a sacred circle. Maybe that'll just have blankets of things to care about, or I'm seeing like stuffed animals around, or maybe you're going to go more traditional and there'll be salt, whatever the case may be, some sort of water that's been blessed or charged. You know what I'm saying? You're going to do the things to make you feel empowered, being in your night moon or morning moon, because you're charging your solar battery of your sun. So when you're in the dark, you become your own nightlight. Yes. And it's all very magical. It's all very magical. The spirit, I can feel like this excitement with the spirit around me that's just like, yes, this is a great starting point. They're all starting points, because once we get in there, it's like once you start school or once you start a friendship with somebody, even in the tangible realm, you start, there's like a little hesitancy, but you're like, okay. And then it starts to bloom and it begins to blossom. And that, thank you. Right there. We have messages that'll start to come through, blessings, and Yod destiny. It may be part of your destiny with this person, parental figure, relationship coming through. Because it's old, like old soul love, old connection. It's an old connection. Could be somebody well older than you in that guardian kind of feel. Maybe you're looking to connect with a spirit guide. Look at all that sun. This is what's happening. You are repairing the veil. Dancing, balancing on one foot is on the bottom. Both worlds. This feels very empowering. A very empowering message. It's nice when there's different emotions that come through, not only through the ink, but the tarot and oracle cards. And I see like your imagination, though it can also conjure up, potentially all these scary things that may or may not happen, but you're going to build your own ritual. And I don't mean to use that word if it's triggering. Just, whatever, maybe it's a favorite blanket or a particular shirt, you know what I mean? Light a candle, whatever your mode or modality is. But how the imagination can conjure up fears of why not to. Am I going to race down this dark hallway? Or am I going to fake it till I make it and walk through and go, I'm not afraid, but really you're crapping your pants. It's a way. I know when I was growing up, anytime we had to go down to the basement, and that's where my bedroom was, but it had this air about it, I would pretend like I was mad so nobody would mess with me. So that's what I would do. I would fake it till I make it. I would pretend, be like, I don't want to go downstairs and I'm just put my gruff on, like I was somehow communicating to what I thought was a bunch of spirits and a bunch of zombies underneath those stairs waiting to grab my legs. Like, you go, that's where I went. And the way I could get through it was by being gruff. And now, though it served me well, and now when I'm met with that, similar space, and I admit mine's more in night moon. I feel activated in morning moon and meeting night moon. But when I'm still met with those situations, I'm not afraid of being afraid. That's the funny thing, right? So I will meet it and breathe, and I will feel the fright versus fear. And I'll try to discern, is this fear? Like there's actually something I need to be physically concerned about, or is this fright from my own psychosis of history and memories and movies and all these influences? And I will feel them. And then I will discern and decide in that moment, whatever my intention is. And maybe it's just going to the washroom at night, or whatever the case may be. Or maybe I am in a meditative state and things are beginning to heighten. And it's like, okay. And then maybe a light flickers and, little triggers, but they're communications. And I can only maybe share that advice to say, if you are too moving through that, we're always growing, and we're always growing in our connection and communication. And then once you meet it with your person, there might be other people too that are waiting to talk to you or waiting to communicate. But, taking care and compassion and having confidence and cultivating, starting with one step forward, like taking bait, one step forward. And if you're already adept at it, there's a different word I wanted to use there, a different potential that somebody might be blocking you right now. If you're already very adept at spirit communication in any way, shape, or form, in any arena of this, there could be a block in one area, and it's asking you to maybe look at it as another way to add on, right? And just kind of grow your sunflower. And I'm seeing somebody sitting in the middle of a sunflower, and it's all around them. It's really quite beautiful. And maybe there's a block if you are adept, even if you're adept in one way, but you haven't been receiving the way you want to, or you feel abandoned in the physical realm, whatever the case may be, and there's hurts. This feels like it's part of the repairing for both of you. The effort is worth it, and you're worth it. You're worth it. But you will inevitably decide as you walk through your hallway of connection to the realms. And there's that metamorphosis there, that butterfly. Zipper. Fine tune your details with those needle nose pliers. That's how I'm feeling. You can have fun with that. Really personalize the experience. It's not a matter of copying or mimicking or anyone. It's a matter of using information as inspiration, so for you to really cultivate your own way along the way. All right. I feel like I've rambled on quite long enough. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm always honored for your awareness and awesome attention. It's truly my honor to communicate and share what comes through with the spirits, as we're all students and teachers, and empathically exploring to help not only serve but strengthen our psyche and psychic senses and our space of self, our perception. And it feels really, really good. This message today was very collective for those that are really seeking to deepen and have more of a connection with spirit, possibly with somebody who raised you or is a very good friend or relationship to you. All right, I'm truly going to let you go now. Until next time, thank you for joining me.